In Chainsaw Man, Fumiko. Spoilers by the way. In Chainsaw Man, Fumiko Mifune is a character that can turn other people into herself by having sex with them. Now, story-wise, there is a lot of themes around exploitation, child trafficking, blah blah blah. We all know that. What I want to figure out is how long would it take for her to turn every single human into herself. To figure out that, we need to figure out how our contract works. It's with the STT devil, and like I said, she can turn other people into herself by having sex with them. Other than that, we don't know much, and it leaves many edge cases that aren't resolved. For example, can she turn people into herself by just spreading a disease, or does it have to be through sex? If she uses protection, would she still spread herself? What counts as sex, and how long it needs to last? Does it have to be with a human or with an animal workout as well? What about the newly fumikoed fumikos? Do they remember their old self? Or what age are they? Age of the fumiko that turned them or their own? For all we know, first fumiko could be long dead by now, or at least hiding somewhere. We don't see damages transfer, so information or skill she builds up wouldn't as well. But does that mean some fumikos are trained by public safety while some are not? Or was she with public safety when she made her contract, so all of them have the same training from the start? Let's start with what we know. Ruling out the possibility that she could be lying, she has to have sex. So no taps dipped in blood or something. Or giving birth to fully grown fumikos. All the fumikos we saw look no younger or older than each other, so they're probably the same age. And jerking someone off doesn't count, because she offers that to Dennis, and from what we know she needs him alive. Or maybe she just did it to get his attention. I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure she offered to have sex with him before. It also has to be with a human. She says that out loud, I just somehow forgot while writing the script. And they're not a hive mind because they need to exchange information from time to time. We learned all the things we knew about this contact just this chapter, so there really isn't much we can work with here. We'll have to assume some things going forward. Since this is the power of the STT devil, and she needs to gain something from this transaction, I'll assume some disease needs to spread to other person's body for it to activate. So no protection. I couldn't find resources on how fast they spread during intercourse, but I found that it usually takes a couple of weeks to months for a symptom to develop. However, I'll still take the time as instant, or 1 to 2 hours, just to make the calculations easier. If the narrative I'm building becomes funnier with the delayed infections, maybe I'll edit it back. Also, I will assume all of them have some form of combat training. Now that we established the common ground, we can draw a battle plan. If every Fumiko has sex device, it would only take them 32 sex generations to infect all of humanity. With some dedication, that can be achieved in give or take a month. And that's still when we're not using the full potential of our capabilities. We can do much better than that. If we assume every Fumiko has sex device every day, which with some dedication and lots of aphrodisiac is easily doable, it would take 18 to 19 days, around 2.5 weeks to take over the world. I think that's really interesting because the number of Fumiko is just 3 to the power of 6 generations, and also because of how exponentials work, you probably wouldn't even notice what's going on in the first week. Just like any great illness, by the time you start to notice the symptoms, it would have been already too late. However, that scenario only exists in our mathematical world. Given travel times, coordination problems, and unturned people's opinions, and the nation's reactions, it'll be a lot messier than that. So let's make a more realistic approach. While at some point we need a centralized command, for now we don't need it. Just spreading all the Fumikos around the globe is enough for the first stage. There's a lot of desperate men out there, and not knowing the consequences would be eager to up on some pussy. Guys who can't get laid, sex tourists, random guy in a bar that got unlucky, let's add a lesbian to the list for inclusivity reasons. I would say most of them would do it even if they knew. Around 10% of all males and a singular lesbian would turn rather easily. But even at this stage, word would start to wisen up. Many middle-aged rich men disappearing overnight would hurt the developed economies, and many families would search for their sons and husbands. Figuring out the cause wouldn't be too hard, as there will be an abundance of the same girl who just happened to hook up with some dude there. Just disappeared. It would lead to protests, lynch campaigns, and all that messy stuff. And the worst of all, they would raise awareness about the dangers of having sex with Fumiko. This would hinder the spread capabilities, and many nations would pass laws against the Fumiko pox. Around these times, a central command would be necessary. As long as it's established, location or the type of organization wouldn't matter. And to counterattack, using plastic surgery and makeup on some Fumikos, and sending them as prostitutes to the world leaders might put them in an unenviable position. Through targeted attacks like these against high-ranking officials such as presidents, army generals, or straight-up billionaires, at the best-case scenario we could create many allied nations that are safe grounds for Fumikos to organize, and at worst we could destabilize hostile nations. At this point, anyone who would have sex with the Fumikos have already done it. What's left is people who don't want to cheat, don't want to have sex, don't find her attractive or find women attractive in general. Since Fumiko has public safety training and experience, I would assume she can beat a regular guy in hand-to-hand combat. This would allow ordinary people to be turned through more unconsensual ways. Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, we're setting our brave factors here. Adding insult to injury, Fumikos can just straight up suicide bomb the powerful people who aren't engaging in prostitution or bending the knee. It's not like they're gonna run out of Fumikos. With these destabilizations and any organization that can stand up to the Great Plague either crumbled or turned to ally, all that's left is now to capture the remaining humans and turn them as well. I would say this whole ordeal would take about 6 months or up to a year. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Make sure to leave a comment or something.